Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Yerushalmi, Kalayim. We are heading towards the end of the Masechta. We are learning the 9th chapter, concluding Halacha Aleph, and learning today Halacha Beis. We're going to be learning today Daf Ayin Ches. We left off on Daf Ayin Ches, Amid Aleph, all the way on top of the Amid. And as we spoke out when we introduced this Pedic, that in the Chumash we have two psukim that record the isur of wearing kalayim. That means a garment that has a mixture in it of wool and linen. In Parshas Kiseitze, the expression, the words the Torah uses is lo silbash. And in Parshas Kedoshim, the Torah uses the words lo yala olecha. Lo yala sounds to be a broader statement, right? Don't wear as a beged. Lo yala olecha means, as we began to introduce a lot on Daf Ayin Hey, that even if you are only draping yourself with shatnes, even though you're not properly garbing yourself, that's also prohibited. Nevertheless, since the Torah also uses the words leisilbash, the loyala olecha has to be similar to leisilbash, and we're going to unpackage this basically in today's daf. Amazing, both in halacha aleph and halacha beis. We are at the end of halacha aleph, in which the Mishnah, based on the words of loyale olecha, which means even if you're not garbing yourself, you're only placing it, the isur is to place it on you, which means that it may be placed under you. So we're going to just again work out the pratim of what is allowed under and what's not allowed under, right? When the Mishnah says that a person is allowed to have certain mats and cushions, as we said, that don't have any fluff to them, they are allowed to be placed under the person as long as the person's body is not touching it. So we're going to just work out the details of the conclusion of Halacha Aleph. And in Halacha Beis, we're going to learn first, we're going to learn three cases in which we have a machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Elazar: hand towels, mantelach of Sefer Torah, and bath towels. That in these three, the Tanakama holds ein bahem mishum kalayim. That means I'm allowed to have a hand towel, according to the Tanakama, that's made out of tzemed upishtin, even though I'm going to be putting it on my hands, etc. Rabbi Elazar, the Tana, holds that it's prohibited. The Gemara is going to work out in all of the three cases what is their machlokes. We're going to also bring into this topic a Mishnah from Masechtas Kelim that speaks about the dinim of the Tumah, and something has to be a keli to be subject to the dinim of Tumah. And one of the big rules we will learn today, Benegei Hilchas Kelim, is that only something that provides a human service or only something that services human beings are going to be classified as Kelim. Masha Enkein, if something was made to be in service of another keli or to another item, not human, will not have the classification of a keli, and therefore, l'mashal benegei hilchos tumah and tara, it will never be susceptible to becoming tummy. We'll see how the Mishnah in Kelim will be very much important concerning our Mishnah, specifically because we will see that the Rav Paskins like Rabbi Elazar, which is a das yachid, and the reason why he does it is because the stam Mishnah Masechtas Kelim, as we'll speak out, is based on the same principle that Rabbi Elazar is using over here. And therefore, you should halachically hand towels and a mantle of a Sefer Torah and bath towels indeed may not have kalayim in it, even though the majority opinion is that there's no issue at all. And I want to say like this, that the big insight that we will get from today's daf, and indeed so paskins the Rambam, that the big difference between wearing a beged, garbing yourself in shatnez versus taking an item and draping yourself in it, is that if there is shatnez in a beged, no matter what, no matter why you are wearing the beged, it's usher to wear it midoiraisa. If a person is only violating the loyale olecha, if you're draping yourself in something that has shatnez, it will only be prohibited if you are garbing yourself with the intent of that providing warmth to your body. If you're putting something on you, not to warm up your body, even if it is like a napkin to protect you of getting soiled. Like the Gemara is going to say that Rabbi Yechanan, he would take a mappa. Mappa means a napkin. And even if it was made out of shatnez, and he would put it over his garment, so when he eats the food, if it falls, should fall on the napkin, not on his garment. His intent was not for him to get warmth. Placing a napkin on your lap is not a beged. You're draping yourself with it. It's olecha, but it's not garbed in it. That will be a great example that will be mutter. Masha enken, when you wear a beged, even if your kavana is not for warmth, as we'll see, it's also going to be also.
Warmth also including tamei tzniut?
One more time.
When you say warmth, that also fall under the category of tamei tznius?
Daf cannot, and we'll see that today. Today's daf is fascinating, beautiful, Yakir. In how do we define? I know that the definition of a beged in the Hilchas Shatnez, the way the Torah works, doesn't have to be consistent in all other areas of the Torah. We all know that. But we'll have a very unique way of understanding the definition of a beged. Gewaldig. So let's go again. On Daf Ayin Ches on the top. So this is going back to the end of Halacha Aleph. The Mishnah says that if you have a mat and a cushion, that we already explained, a mat and a cushion that has no fluff in it, it isn't filled with feathers. Because when something is filled with feathers and you step on it or you sit on it, the sides go up. You go in, the sides go up. And that's the whole point of the Mishnah, that lo yalo alecha implies that under you is allowed. Under you, not on your sides. Okay, so that's what the Mishnah says, that lo yalo alecha muter latziyoi tachtecha. You are allowed to wear, and you are allowed to have an article that has in it shatnez completely under you. As I said the Mishnah. However, and even that, only if you're not physically touching it. Avol, says the Gemara, amru chachamim miter rabbanon. Lo yasechein. Don't even do that. Because if I have a mat, if I have a carpet, not the American carpet that accumulates the dirt from the 10 generations, the skinny carpets, the Brazilian carpet, the cheap cakes, a Persian rug that is made out of shatnez, even though I'm wearing shoes and socks, which means midday raisa, there's absolutely no problem. The Chachamim were afraid that one strand of that carpet, for example, will get loose. And when I step on it, it might wrap itself around the bottom of my foot. Even for that. And by the way, even though I'm wearing another beged, even though I'm wearing a shoe or a sock, so what? If I'm wearing an undergarment, I cannot place over it a shatnez garment. Okay. And even if there's only one nima, even if there's only one thread that's going on my skin, I'll be violating kalai midoi raisa. Look inside the Pnei Moshe. Look inside the Pnei Moshe. That he emphasizes 3 lines from the top that this amru chachamim, I have to correct myself, is only berachim, only when it's soft, where there's such a chashash. Ubekashim, if you have a very hard garment, we're not afraid that you're stepping on it will make a nima loose. Ubekashim muter kedeperishis b'masnisan. Okay, and so just remember, guys, sinking into it is a problem. You have to remember that. And a hard that's mutter is only with a hefsek. Another thing, I can't be physically stepping on it. Okay. And
Rabbi,
yes.
If there's a thread that comes out of the hard carpet, would you have the same issue, or it's only
yes? No, I would have the same issue because the moment it's on me, I got a problem.
So it's just about saying that we're not worried about that.
That's the way I understand the
carpet. You have to. Got it. Okay.
I know one thing, that if it's something soft like a mattress that we learned, that even if you have 10 mattresses, one on top of the other, and the bottom mattress is a shatnez, I'm not allowed to lay on it. With soft, never, even though it's under me. When it's hard, then I'm allowed to have it under me. There has to be a hefsek, and you have to be mindful. It has to be something that doesn't lead you to suspect that there'll be a nima achas. If there's a nima achas, you got a problem. Okay. And now, here we go. The Mishnah speaks about really 4 items. We spoke out 3 in the introduction. In the 3, there is a machlokes, and then there is a statement. So here we go. Item number 1, mitbachais hayodayim, hand towels. Item number 2, mitbachais hasfarim. We're speaking about what we call in Yiddish a mantle for a Sefer Torah. It's the beautiful, we have a velvet the velvet, here we go, the velvet, I would even say beged, holy beged that we make to completely drape or to enclose the Sefer Torah is called mitbechais hasfarim. Third item in the Mishnah is mitbechais hasfag, bath towels. We'll see in the Gemara more details, and we'll take a see why the Mishnah has to speak sai about hand towels and both about bath towels. That what happens if they have klaim in it? There's a mixture. So says the Mishnah Machlokes. Tanakama holds, and this is Das Rabim, even though we won't paskin like it. Ein bohem mishum kalayim. And Tanakama, the Mishnah doesn't say, so we're going to say the Chachamim. That's the way we're going to learn. And we'll leave it at that. And let me just say the following words. These items, all these three, are not worn as a garment. Not only that, they're not draped over a person's body. We're going to get to the bath towel. Okay? And that's why the Tanakama holds it's no issue. However, Rabbi Lazar Oyser, people, that will be the key. People occasionally, not always, will use these items to get warmth. That will be the nakuda we're going to have in today's daf. It's none of them are mamish beged. Even a towel is not a beged. But when you drape yourself with something, your kavana will be significant. That's what we're going to see. And everyone is moida that most people will not drape themselves with any of these items for warmth. We'll see more in the mitmachai sefer Torah. That's even asur. How can you use something that's kodesh? No, it's the purpose of a hand towel is to dry yourself, of a napkin. It's not to keep yourself warm. Occasionally people do it. Let's go leave it simple. And because it's something rare, that's the machlokes. Rabbi Lazar holds people occasionally do it, never do it. The Tanakama holds if you're not doing it for warmth, then you can use it. Let's leave it like that, and we'll a lot more in the Gemara. And now the Mishnah gives a ruling in which there is no machlokes. Umitbachais hasaparim, a barber apron. Again, it's not a beged. It's something that until today, right? There's no sleeves in it. The purpose is not to keep you warm. They put it on your begadim, so when he gives you a haircut, the hair should not fall on your begadim. Like we just mentioned before, we'll see in the Gemara, Rabbi Yechanan would put a napkin, even of kalayim, on his lap when he ate. It's to protect yourself from something else. That's not the way we view a beged, and it's not a beged. Nevertheless, asura is mitzum kalayim, and the Gemara is going to have to clarify it. And I'll jump to the end. The Gemara says that when our Mishnah says, after we work out everything that I said, by a beged, I don't care your kavanah. Beged us. If it's not a beged, if you're not garbing yourself in it, if you're draping yourself in it, if it's to warm yourself, it's a problem. If not, it's not a problem. If not, it's not a problem. So that will be a big issue with the ending of the Mishnah. Why would it be problematic to wear a barber's apron? And the Gemara is going to clarify that in the Mishnah, Tana was speaking about a type of apron that was a beged. It had sleeve.
Rabbi, we call it a barber's cape. But yes,
a barber's cape. So very good. So the cape is going to be mutter. And the Mishnah that says it's also, the Gemara is going to make it clear. I hope we have to get to. Okay, says the Gemara. So before we unpackage this machlokes of hand towel that has shatnez, whether you could or cannot use it, says Gavaldik. We're medama this to Mishnah and Masechtas Kelim, and the beauty is that Mishnah does not record the machlokes. It's a stam Mishnah. And because of this Tam Mishnah, we're going to have a lot of clarity as to why Rav paskins like Rabbi Lazar. Says the Mishnah in Taman, over there. Taman Tanin, and we learned to Masechtas Kelim. That shalosh mitpachai saying there are three types of towels. Don't forget the topic there is not kalayim. Topic there is about whether something is b'chlal subject to becoming tamei. Shel yodayim, a hand towel, is even susceptible to tumas midras. Tumas midras is that a zav or and a zava or and a nida or and a yoldas or a yoledis, they are tamei on the level of an av. What is unique about them is that if they touch others that are susceptible to tuma, normally the rule is tuma goes down a notch. But if they sit or lay on something that is meant to be sat upon, meant to be laid upon, that's called midras, then that item will acquire the same level of tuma as they are. But that's only if the item that they have contact with, that they're sitting on, is made to be sat upon. So the Mishnah is saying that a hand towel, like Gemara is going to explain to everyone, a hand towel, as we'll see when people go to sleep in the Beis Medrash by putting their head down, as we'll see, It was common that what would they do? Not to put their forehead on their hand, to soften it, they would put a hand towel. In other words, it was a common use of a hand towel. Next, Vishel Sfarim, a mantle of a Sefer Torah. No one is going to use it for a midras, but on the other hand, it's still keli enough that it could acquire tumas meis. And let me say even better, something that's designated for a Sefer Torah has a level of kedusha that does not allow us to rest on it. So midras for sure not. The question is, why is it even a keli? And I'll tell you what the kasha is. The kasha is that the mantle of a Sefer Torah is meant to give kavod and to protect a Sefer Torah. The big rule in Masechtas Kelim is that for something to be classified as a keli lehilchos tuma, it's not only something that was made for a purpose. That's not enough. It's something that was made for human purpose. And that will be a problem that the Gemara is going to have to explain. Why should the mitbechos of a Sefer Torah even be susceptible to tumas meis? But that's the second category. And the third category of a mitbechos, of a towel, is shel tachrich nivlei b'nei Levi, which means that when you have the musical instruments that were played by the Levium, and they would wrap it in a towel. Today people have musical instruments. They come in a box. They come in a bag. They would use a towel. So it's a keli, a towel designated to protect an instrument. That's the word that even though you would think it's a keli, it's made for a purpose. Don't forget, the word keli doesn't mean it has to have a klei kibul benegea hilchos tuma and tara. Even though pshuta kleits are not mekabel tuma, I know that. But b'chlal, the general definition of a keli, it's not about whether it has a receptacle, but it's about an item that was made for a purpose. What would not be a keli would be, just as an example, a natural rock. It's not a keli, which, by the way, why it's muksa for Shabbos. Okay, but coming back over here, so that's the point that shel tachrich, the garments that are made. A navel is one of the string instruments that they used in the Beis Hamikdash. There's a big machloikas exactly what it was, whether it was a violin, whether it was a lyre. It's a string instrument. Of B'nai Levi, artohoida miklum. All right, it's servicing other kelim. A keli that's made to service another keli is not called a keli. Now, the Gemara wants to explain all of the three cases we're still going on Masechtas Kelim. Rabbi Law. Right, Rabbi Ila, in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, explaining why a hand towel is even susceptible to tumas midras, because people place a hand towel on their cushion, on a pillow. Today you have pillowcases, then you didn't have pillowcases. Or even if you have a pillowcase, today we wash them more often. Right, your chaver that ate shalom, that slept on the pillow, and now it's your turn to go to sleep. You don't want to sleep on his. You cover it with so it's made to be slept upon. That's b'shem Rabbi Yechanan. Rav says not only because of that, another reason, because you put it under your elbows. You put it under your elbows, and I know that there has to be a machlokes between Rabbi Yechanan and Rav. It's not just an example. I would say perhaps it's about how commonly is it used. Because if something is very rarely used in a certain way, and I think that was the point that Rav was making. I think that Rav holds that just because you place it upon a cushion is not enough. It's not enough. It's commonly used as a midrash. You place it on the pillow, you rest your hands on it. I think Rav needs to have more commonality. Okay, right. Now, let's go weiter. Now let's come back to our Mishnah. Rav Amar. Rav says, regarding a towel, we have in our Mishnah, Machlekes Tanakam and Abu Lazar, Rav Amar Rasa. And the halachic divrei hois. Now, so first of all, the Gemara wants to know before, why are we going to paskening like Das Yachid? We have another kasha. Why did Rav say v'halacha kedivrei ha'oser? Why didn't Rav say clearly I'm paskening like the Tana Rabbi Lazar? So answers the Gemara because there was a machlekes in the times of Rav as to who said what. It's not clear. Some Tanoim hold that the Tanakama was the one that says yesh mishum kalayim. Rabbi Eliezer was the one that was lenient. Even though that's not the way we have it recorded in our Mishnah, just to make it clear that Rav is saying it's also, no matter who said it, even if Rabbi Lazar says it, no matter who, Halacha kedivrei ha'ois. Okay. Now, even though so paskan Rav, Rabbi Yochanan Yohav Mapa Almonoi. Rabbi Yochanan, when he ate, would place a mappa. I know a mappa is not exactly a hand towel, but it's similar. It's a napkin. And even if his napkin was made out of kalayim, he would place it on his money, on his garments, like you eat today. He didn't wear pants; he wore a jalaba. But today, when people eat today, the fancy people, they put it on top of their tie. Maybe the tie was made to protect your shirt, so now you protect your tie. I don't know how to they say that hadvarim. Then we have to have something to protect the something that's protecting your tie. He put it the kitchen. When some people eat, myself included, there's a zecher on the clothing, and he didn't want to have that zecher. Remember, we learned about the case of suicide. I think it led at the end to someone getting killed. That
The
your
shoes?
husband told me to give me back the money, and as a simon, it's emes.
Oh, my machronim.
My machrenim, that he ate eggs for breakfast. There you go. But that putting a mop on his money didn't help because he had some eggs on his mustache. Very thank you, Danny. Now the kasha is the eino also mishum kalayim. In other words, is he arguing? Is he arguing with Rav? So the Gemara says no. He agrees with Rav. Aber when the Mishnah spoke about and we paskin that you can't use a hand towel, it was speaking about someone who wants to use it to give themselves warmth. That will be the key. A hand towel is not a beged. And your kavana of why you are putting it on you will determine whether you're violating. The Torah says lo yalo alecha. The Torah says lo silbash. So we learned on Daf Ayin Hey, the lo yala has to be similar to the lo silbash. It has to have a beged type of quality, which would mean, why are you wearing it? For warmth? No. Rabbi Yochanan didn't do it for warmth. Even if it made him warm, he did it. The lo Gin bilun money for his clothing not to get soiled. That's the big chiddush of the whole daf today. We're going to have this again and again and again and again. Look inside the Pnei Moshe, 4 lines under the Gemara.
Rabbi, it's like the hat covers that guys wear for the rain.
Very good.
You know, it's there to protect your hat. It's not there to protect you. So that l'chayra, based on this, would be permissible if it was shatnez. I mean, it's made of
100%.
plastic, but
100%.
it's the same idea.
100%. Yeah, very good. The question is whether it's called carrying on Shabbos. That's another issue. But very good. Now, look inside the Pnei Moshe, 4 lines from the bottom. It's only kidei shelo yisnablu v'yalachachu begadav. Now, ve'ein yakir ve'ein zu hala'a derech levisha. No, it's lo yala has to be derech levisha. Ki'im lishmaras begadav. Lishmaras begadav, even though it's draped. Now, don't forget, it's not a beged. We'll see clearly that by a beged, we don't say that. I don't care what your command is by beged. Let's unpackage the sugya. Says the Gemara Vayter Amar Abzirikon that I want to add one thing over here. This is what I said before. That why did Rav Paskin Kedivrei Ha'oser? Because of the Mishnah and Kalim. It was the fact that the Mishnah and Kalim says that a hand towel is a keli. That's very much connected to the issue of shatnez. No, it's people use it. People use it, as he says, to put it on a pillow. People use it to rest their hands on it. They put it over them. And it's a Stam Mishnah. That's connected. Since it's used to benefit people, and still, when is it also when you're putting it on you for warmth? Okay, as we'll see. Amar Abzerekan, Yohivali Rabavuna, Be'asa b'mapa. There was an egg, a hard-boiled egg that was burning hot, and someone handed it to Rabavuna. But the way they handed it to him for his hands not to get burnt is they put it in a mappa, in a napkin. The napkin had kalayim. Now, the one who gave it might not have been a scholar, but v'hu lo mekabel, and he didn't want to hold the shot in this napkin. Ad shelo yischavnu bechavnu b'pnei achama u'b'kshamim b'pnei akshamim. So he's quoting a Mishnah that we're going to have, God willing, tomorrow, and Danny quoted it before. What does the Mishnah say? It's going to be here in Daf Ayin Tes. That if you have people that are selling garments, and they are also selling garments of kalayim to goyim, and they want to model their garments, so we're going to see how they are allowed to do it. But whenever we'll see tomorrow, they are allowed to do it. They're not putting it on properly. They're draping it. their kavana is important, that if it's summer and they don't want to get burnt, so if they're modeling it not to protect themselves from the sun, then they're not allowed to do it. If it's cold and they're draping it on them in order to protect themselves, also they're doing it to sell it, but they also have the kavana for some benefit of their body. That's what the Mishnah says. Then it's not going to be allowed. That it will not be allowed. So what do we see from over here? That protection from heat, your body being protected from heat, is a problem. It's gewaldige correlation. In other words, even Rabbi Avuna agrees to this thing that we're saying, that if you're not putting a beged on, holding an egg in a napkin is not a beged, but it's on you. It's not under you, it's on you. But you're holding the egg because the egg is burning hot. You want to protect yourself from the heat. That's called a beged. Anything that's on you for protection of the elements is called a beged. And that's why he did not accept it. He was right. What about sheets? So we just learned that if you won't touch the sheet, midoraisa muter, midrabanan, there's a chashash that a nima achas will go out. Okay, now we got it. Now next, mitpuchais asfarim, guys, we're not going on the Mishnah, just to know, because our Mishnah, it's going on the Mishnah in Kalim. The Mishnah in Kalim says that mitpuchais asfarim is not susceptible to tumas midras, but it's still is susceptible to normal tumah. Now the question is, why is it a keli at all? That will be the big question. And why should it not be a keli? Because we said that the mitpuchais of the musical instruments, anything that's made not for human, anything that's not made to service a human being, yes, made to service another thing, is not a keli. So mitpuchai sefer Torah should be the same. So Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman, in the name of Rabbi Yoina's son, he explains. We'll see two opinions here on Amud Aleph. V'shem Rabbi Yoina's son, pnei shuhu oisa kemin tik umesima b'cheikoi. He says that there are times that when the Sefer Torah is being read, they used to take those mantles and they would origami. What is that thing that you fold a napkin in 50? They used to fold it they used to make it into a certain type of pouch. And after they would, and then when I want to just add one thing. People used then Sefer Torah to mamish learn from, not just to read when there's a minyan. So when people were learning, sometimes they would take the mantle and they would place the Sefer Torah on top of their lap. And in other words, it would cushion the scroll.
It was like
They
a
don't want
shender?
for the Sefer Torah to be hard on their lap. So it was made also for human purpose, to service me. It was made for it to cushion the hardness of the Sefer Torah on my lap. People used it for that. We're not talking about warmth now. We're not talking about kalayim. We're speaking there about why is it mekabel tuma? Because the question is, a mantle is made only to cover the Sefer Torah. No, it's not. B'shem Rabbi Yonasan, people also would use the mantle to put it on their lap. So when they would put the Sefer Torah on their lap, when they learned, that's why people think that today we put it on a bima. No, but when they learned, like we sit down, we learn. It shouldn't hurt them. It shouldn't be too heavy on them. Vlad Sefer Torah, not our Americans. The Russian Sefer Torah guys, they weigh 8 times the amount. Pishmoina. Fishman Sefer Torah is lighter than Vlad Sefer Torah. I know what I'm saying.
Is that a
Yours
fact?
is bigger. Somehow his is heavier. Huh? Okay. And that's answer number 1. Daf Ayin Chesam Beis. Another answer, another reason. Rabbi Ba, which is Rabbi Abba, in the name of Rabbi Chia bar Yosef, in the name of Rav, that's a whole different thing. Now, look, in other words, it's kavana. Look inside the Marav folder. And that's also why Vasura Mishum Kalayim. In other words, just like I mentioned Balpeh before, that the understanding of the Mishnah and Kalim, since Mitpachais Hayodayim, the Mishnah and Kalim says it's susceptible to Tumas Midras because it's also made for people to lay on. That's why Rav Paskin that it's problematic if it's Kalayim. We're trying to link the Kalim and the Mishnah over here in Kalayim. That since if the reason will only be the reason of Rabbi Yonasan, why does Rabbi Yonasan say that it's made to cushion your lap? but never meant to keep you warm. Rav could not accept that opinion. Why? Because since our Mishnah says that you mitbachais asfarim may not be made out of kalayim, and Rav Paskins, no matter who said that like that, why would, if the reason would be like Rabbi Yonason, then Rav would not paskin like a das yachid. Why is that? I get it. For Tuma, it's a human service that the sefer should not be hard on my legs. It should be soft. But it's not made for warmth. And anything that's not a beggar, that's not made for warmth, is never going to be a problem with Kalaim. That's what the Marav Fulda says. So he had to argue with Rabbi Yonason. It has to be that when people hold the Sefer Torah, people want to be warm. And as a secondary purpose, the mantle is to keep your hands warm. Here's a raya that Ashkenazim are right. This is in honor of Rabbi Jonathan. Think about it. Because the Sfardim...
I was thinking this the whole time, by the way. The whole time.
They have a mantle inside, but outside they have...
These hard cases.
Rabbi Jonathan is saying, but not in Morocco. Moroccos have our Sifrei Torah. So it's nothing personal against Rabbi Jonathan. Okay, let's go right. This is great. So Amar Abun Barchia le Rabba. Guys, Rabbi Bob was the one that said B'Shem Rav.
Rabbi Jonathan is genius.
Huh?
Rabbi Jonathan is a genius.
Yes, there we go. That Rabbi Bun, that what? That V'lama Eino Asam Mishum Kalayim. In other words, according to Rabbi Yonason, let's go, guys. We're going to Rabbi Lazar, but let's go to Tanakama. The Tanakama holds that there's no Kalayim issue. Fakert, now we're going in the opposite direction. According to Rabbi Yonason, it makes sense. Because since it's never made for warm, even though maybe someone, if I have my own kavanah, doesn't mean anything. It's made, if anything, for softness, not for warmth. I understand why Ein Bohem Mishum Kalayim. But according to your explanation, why would the Tanakama hold that there's no issue with Kalayim? So Amalei. So Rabbi Bun Bar, he said to Rabbi, so he told him, Loi Rafu. No. Rav only gave the reason. Rav gave it because Rav Paskins liked Rabbi Lazar and a Chanami. Rav Amar also in other words, according to the Tanakama, either the Tanakama will understand the Mishnah in Kalim like Rabbi Yonason, and really you can say something else. You can say, like I mentioned before, some of the, I think it was the Maraful that said at Raman Almav, that the Machlokes has to do with how common is it. How common is it? In other words, even b'shem Rav, that shumachamim ba es yadav. Think about it. How often is it? We really don't know, because we live in a world that there's air conditioning and there's heaters. But when you live in a cold, everything is cold. Someone is cold and they hold the Sefer Torah and they're hugging the Sefer Torah. It looks like they love the Torah. They love the Torah, but they have to keep warm. It might be a question of how common is it or not. But the pshat of the Gemara is that what do you, b'shem Rav, b'chamim b'yadav, and a chanami. And that's
but even though, Rabbi, that would be secondary. That won't be the tachlis of the kelim.
Sure. No question that this is l'kula alma secondary, Yakir. Because the ikar purpose of a mantle is to give kavod to the same. No one is debating that. No, we clearly here it's not about primary, secondary. Question is secondary or something so uncommon that it's not counted.
Spanish Moroccan shows the Sefer Torah, if you roll, they have a layer of a sheet in between throughout the whole Sefer Torah.
Why?
I think one of the reasons is because that if you have to touch it or whatever, you're not touching it. So the question is that would be no problem because it's not doing any benefit for anyone.
Very good. So he's saying that in the Portuguese, Spanish Moroccan, I put on the Portuguese. That's biased. That there's a minig that they have this sheet, probably a thin garment, inside the whole Sefer Torah. That's no, because they would uncover it.
No, it's
on the bottom. It's on the bottom.
It doesn't touch the letters. It's
on the other side. Okay, if it's on the other side, then the reason why you gave doesn't work, because the issue of touching the Sefer Torah, Matami Yadayim, is only in the inside. But let's go right. Says the Gemara that Omar Rabbi Yoinel Rabba v'lama loy omrat lei mishum misalakta. So was fragt why didn't you say even better? You're saying that when people hold the Sefer Torah, the kavana might be to warm up your hands. What about when you remove the mantle to read the Sefer Torah? How about then? Then people might use it to warm up your hands. You didn't say that because that's taka asur. Ilo amar lei v'loikach ein asur b'hano. Is it not asur b'hano? If he would have said that would be the reason, so he would have been challenged. Is it not asur b'hano? He would have nothing to respond to. Mahavalei meimer. It may not be used when it's empty. For you, it may not be used for you. So the reason why Rav said is that when you're holding it and you have kavanah to keep yourself warm, that is why aleph, it's considered a keli. And number two, why it's asur mishum kilayim. Let's leave it at that. The third case in the Mishnah was mitpuchais asfag, which is bath towels. Again, the Tanakama in our Girsa says ein boy mishum kilayim. Rabbi Lozer says it's asur. So says the Gemara, why would it be asur pa'amim? Sometimes a person has his Rebbe walk into the mikveh while he's there into the bathhouse, and he takes his garb and he wraps himself with it. And let me just add something that firstly, people warm themselves in it. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Not only that, but they also want it's sneers. Who said about sneers? That's sneers. That if you wear something to cover yourself, that is beged like also. That's beged like. And look inside the Rashirilio, the second to last line on the right side. You want to say hello to your Rebbe. You're not garbed. And you're putting it on you. And he says, "V'kaimel on Rabbi Eliezer v'shloshton asurin," because the Mishnah Skelim shaycha kavosei. The reason why we pass like Rabbi Eliezer is because that's the Mishnah Masechta Skelim. Just to make it clear that we're giving this Pamim Shurayis Rabbi, we're not minimizing the fact that sometimes people wear it to warm themselves. It's Yehudavai Lukra. Says the Gemara.
The idea that he would only talk to his Rebbe in the bathhouse, but if he saw his friend, that he wouldn't, or he'd be comfortable not wrapping himself.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. For people who go to the mikveh, they know exactly what we're talking about. People who don't go to the mikveh, people that think that a men's mikveh is a woman's mikveh, yeah, they're shocked with that. Yeah, you can have 50 people in the men's mikveh and they're talking to each other. It's not the most modest thing to do, but that's what he does. If the Rebbe looks in, you're not comfortable.
Got it.
Okay. Rabbi b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Bal norei noshim. Balanorim are large towels used by women to dry themselves in the bathhouse. Asura mishum kalayim. Says the Gemara, he balnorei noshim, he balnorei an noshim. In other words, just say halacha ki Rabbi Eliezer. Why are you specifying women bath towels? So the Gemara explains, mahu balnorei noshim. Rabbanan de kesaron amrin. That's antitayom. Antitaya, that's the key, is a towel that's actually shaped like a garment. I would say it's like the robes. It's a towel in which you put your hands in. And therefore, even Latanakama yesh behem mishum kalayim. That's the word. That's why he didn't say halacha ki Rabbi Eliezer. That in other words, if you have a bathrobe is problematic mishum kalayim l'kol ha'alma. And finally, the last case in the Mishnah was mitpuchais hasaparim, that barbers' capes. The Mishnah says it's a problem. We got a problem now with that. Now that we established this key, that was today's daf. Levush, we're not machalik. If you're not garbing yourself, if it's only ha'ala'ah, your kavana has to be like a malbush. What's like a malbush? Warmth, cold, tznius. Very good. The problem is that the barber's apron is not for this, not for that, not for the other. It's only to protect your garments. It should be like Rabbi Yochanan, who used the napkin, even though it had the kilayim in it. So says the Gemara, it must be that hadod de teimar, that when our Mishnah says it's usher, it's because b'mischavin l'shem malbush. Now, the meaning of mischavin l'shem malbush, as the Noise Kalim say, we're speaking about it is a malbush, not b'mischavin. That's the way they teach it over here, is that there is like some sort of head opening. the definition of a malbush, okay, I want to clarify, doesn't mean that it has sleeves. It means that it's like your talus cotton. That's a great example. Talus cotton meaning that it's not like a towel that you drape yourself with it. It's a rectangular that has a hole in the middle. So when you put it on you, it stays on you. Very important. I'm happy with that. So when does the Mishnah say that the barber's cape is a problem if it's kalayim? If it's a malbush type of cape.
Post my picture.
Avol im einoi mischaven l'shem malbush, which means if it has no opening for the head, it's the way our barber aprons are. When I take a haircut, it protects me from my hair, but it has already so much hair in it, it shares the hair from the guys before me. Then loy bedah. I want to say one nekuda, guys, and this is the nekuda for Chassidus, that we learned that mitzvahs are malbushim. How much kavanah do we have? Not that great yet. If I'm fully in the mitzvah, if I'm garbed in the mitzvah, even without good kavanas, the gewaldigkeit at the malbush, it's the malbush of the king, and there's a yichud, all of that happens. If a person does a mitzvah, nicht den ganzen involved in the mitzvah, I bet they're draping themselves with the mitzvah, but they're not garbed in it, then their kavanah is very important. And if they don't have kavanah, then they're diminishing the koyach, the ruchnis koyach of the mitzvah. I want to take a picture of the gabai's face. He's looking at me. That will be nice for my vart. He completely disagrees with that, which is fine. And I do want to say that very rare, the first time in the whole Masechta, tomorrow in the daf, we're going to have a lot of agadata. Real agadata, like Bavli agadata, looking forward to be continued.